Today, we've got the culmination of 4 years of just cluster in Portland. So right when that whole the George Floyd thing happened, you had an election in city of Portland in Multnomah County district attorney. You got a George Soros-backed district attorney, and it was just perfect timing for anybody that was looking to get elected on a criminal reform basis, right? An anti-police basis. And Portland had one of within Mike Schmidt, Portland had one of the worst district attorneys as far as the whole public safety thing is concerned, right? He wouldn't prosecute anything to do with the mostly peaceful protesters. And that's literally where it came out of, is all of these district attorneys just decided, no, this is what we should be doing. And so we've literally had 4 years of just shenanigans. There's nothing else you can call but what the folks of Portland have been put through other than shenanigans. And Seattle, same thing. And keep in mind, these people voted Mike Schmidt in. Mike Schmidt just lost, and we're going to talk about it. But we've got it's one of his it's one of his underlings that actually ran on a pro-police, endorsed by police unions. He ran on a public safety platform of, hey, we need to get things going here. We need to start arresting some people. We need to start incarcerating some people because this ain't working. This ain't working. So Mike Schmidt immediately got elected to office back in 2020, summer of 2020. And then he supported Measure 110, which was decriminalizing drugs. Now he states that didn't work because treatment wasn't available. Yeah, but it wasn't available back then either. Didn't have the money back then. And he wouldn't prosecute anything to do with anything related with all the protests. And you remember, Portland had protests for 100 and however many nights. I mean, that number is at 120, 170 if you talk to a police officer. Just ridiculous. And those were not peaceful nights. Folks in the law enforcement are suffering from PTSD from that, from all of the experiences of the city doesn't have my back. I'm here trying to protect citizens. Citizens are saying, defund the police. I mean, just an absolute cluster. Absolute cluster. But remember, Portland voted this nonsense in. So did Seattle. But now Portland, almost on the same ratios. Mike Schmidt. Let's get to here. Here's Mike Schmidt. Yeah, all of those of you in Portland, you're familiar with his face, with his shining face. We're going to play an interview from him. But yeah, we're on the other end of that now. It's like, hey, yeah, hiring a George Soros promoted district attorney who is super soft on crime. That seems to have ended just like the whole Chesa Boudin thing down in San Francisco. His parents were incarcerated for like 40 years because they were, protesters, and they were involved in a little bit of a murder deal, protesters, one of those things. But you've got this storyline where these cities are like, yeah, when you go really soft and weak on crime, interesting. The numbers seem to skyrocket. Huh. What do you know about that? Well, anyway, I'll just keep voting blue, right? But it got so bad in Portland. The main article I'm reading today is Woke Portland just booted its pro-crime district attorney and New York City should follow. So I'm going to read that. I'm going to read a handful of stories. We're going to see some interviews, some interesting stuff. And then I've also got another story that is really interesting. And it is a video from Tyler Oliveira. And most of you probably know his channel. He came to Seattle. He's been to Seattle a few times. He came to Seattle and he not only covered the Jimmy, the landlord, with Dirty Sang Kim, the tenant who's gone world famous that I covered. He covered that story. Tyler Oliveira came and was with Jonathan Cho. He covered the Jimmy topic, also a Caesar topic, a homeless dude that Andrea Suarez has kind of kept track of We Heart Seattle. And then he also covered a third squatting situation all in one video. And the third squatting video is a local stringer, a local newscaster, Steve Hickey, who, if you follow local news stories here in Seattle, you will have seen him. Steve Hickey is being accused of being squatting for like 2 years. And there's a really interesting conversation that I'm going to play between King County Sheriff's Department, a deputy, and Tyler Oliveira and Jonathan Cho and Steve Hickey. You just got this weird, conglomerate. I'm going to play a little bit of a clip from that. That is some wild stuff. I mean, it's just like, what part of the world of down under are we living in? But let's get through Portland. And I'm also going to talk about Portland, Nathan Vasquez. Nathan Vasquez, he's the guy that won. He beat Mike Schmidt. In his debate, he kept saying, hey, Portland's got a greater homicide count than Seattle and San Francisco. Is that true? Right now, it is true. And we're going to talk about that as well. But hey, let's do a victory lap. And some of you are already saying, this isn't a victory lap. They're just going to hire somebody that sounds a little bit more harsh, but isn't. Nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to happen. And you know what? The damage has been done. The damage has been done. But you got to take a step in that right direction, right? And I think Multnomah County has done that. I mean, they couldn't do much worse. They couldn't do much worse than the damage that Mike Schmidt. I mean, he only prosecuted a fraction of the crimes that previous prosecutors and all the summer of love stuff. Nope, that's all good. You're mostly peaceful. Yep, it's all good. And that just opened the Pandora's box of Antifa just taking it to Portland. So Portland's pretty beat up, but you know what? You voted some of this stuff in. You voted a lot of this stuff in. So I don't feel too sorry. But when you got a situation like this, I think you need to talk about it. And that's what we're doing. Uber progressive Portland, Oregon just kicked its soft on crime, cop hating district attorney to the curb. Manhattan, take note. You gotta love the writing. The writing from the New York Post is epic. I really enjoy it because it's just so, take that, Portland. Take that, Mike Schmidt. On Wednesday, Multnomah County District Attorney Mike Schmidt lost to one of his own deputies, Nathan Vasquez, who ran entirely on a return to sanity, implying that Portland is off the hook insane. I would not say that is untrue. How's that for like a triple double negative there, right? Seattle, same thing. You've got these storylines where you're like, I'm sorry, what's going on? And the Tyler Oliveira will kind of prove it. It's like, what? We're doing what? Yeah. Schmidt, one of the many woke prosecutors boosted into office by George Soros and affiliated soft on crime groups, took over in August 2020 at the height of the George Floyd protests and immediately announced that the vast majority of riot-related offenses wouldn't get prosecuted. So that whole notion, along with law enforcement during the summer of love and all of 2021 and a little bit into 2022, if memory serves me correctly, but mainly 2020 and 2021, you had just the real beatdowns that were happening in Portland. And what that did is when you've got a district attorney who won't prosecute any of the crime going on, the police are like, screw that. Why are we arresting anybody? And you know what? Screw this whole thing in general. I'm quitting. I'm retiring. I'm moving on. I'm going elsewhere. I'm going anywhere but staying here and doing law enforcement in Portland. And that's the same exact thing that happened in Seattle. Seattle police officers said, okay, yeah, you gave up the East Precinct to a bunch of nut job Antifa and Black Lives Matter. No, we're gone. We're out of here. So those are the numbers. New York City, not unlike the same thing. You've got hundreds. And in New York City's got like 30,000 police officers, huge population, right? You need that many police officers, but New York City is down the same. They're down numbers as well, right? They're trying to flush cops into Central Park right now because you've just got a whole bunch of incidences of, growing up on the West Coast, best coast. Doesn't seem that way, does it? We always heard about New York City and Central Park. So it's always it's that place over there that all the crazy stuff happens. And the only thing that I had to compare to is my dad told me when he was, I don't know, in high school or college, he ended up in New York. I don't know what he was doing. He said he walked around at night in Harlem, upstate New York City. He said he was walking around in Harlem and he realized by the time he had me, he realized a few years later that it was probably not the greatest thing to do. And this would have been, I think it was the mid 60s, late 60s. He said it was fairly dangerous. Those are some of the things. But now I'm reading news stories and it's like, Central Park. Yeah, that's not a good news story because you got a lot of crime going on. And you got a lot of crime because of district attorneys who are not prosecuting crime. Their job. Oh, yeah. No, you got to let as many people out as possible. I mean, keeping people in jail, that is generally considered just straight up racist. This whole leap of logic there, right? So that December, he supported the ballot measure, talking about Mike Schmidt, who just lost. He supported the ballot measure that essentially decriminalized all drug use. Now, the rest of us are sitting here going, oh, this is going to work out well, right? I mean, what could go wrong? I mean, that's about really all that you can say to some of this stuff. Let's see, we're going to decriminalize drugs, but then we're going to expect those people that are whacked out on drugs to somehow miraculously get themselves to treatment, which Measure 110 is going to fund, but the treatment isn't there, but we're going to decriminalize ahead of time. I don't think that's going to work out all that well. 4 years later, what does City of Portland do? We got to walk back Measure 110. We got to walk back Mike Schmidt. We need some new blood in here. This ain't working out. And here we are. It was a bad start to what had been a disastrous 4 years for the Rose City. Homicides hit a record high in 2022. That was not good. The race to who had the most homicides between Seattle and Portland, that's not the kind of, you don't want to see people getting murdered. I mean, you just don't, right? Wrong direction, folks, wrong direction. The city declared a state of emergency after an explosion of fentanyl deaths. Yep. Cops resigned en masse. Yep. With many citing Schmidt as the reason for their exit. Check, right? Check. And here we are. So it's no wonder Portlanders have had enough and that the city has lost 22,000 residents since 2020. That is another big story, is Portland has been on a, systemic growth pattern for years and years and years and years and years. And then all of a sudden, you know what? We got to go. We got to go. Even us liberals, we want to be able to raise our children, not have them get killed, and seeing what they're seeing on the streets. You are literally seeing those stories of these folks who won't come out and say that they're liberals, but they are. They grew up and whatever. They started raising kids in Portland, but then all of a sudden, we had to, we felt it was best for the sake of our children to move to Texas. We felt it was best to move to Idaho. We felt it was best to, we ended up all the way down in Florida. Things are just so much greater here. Who knew? We got freedom and people don't run around chasing each other with hatchets whacked out on drugs. I mean, wacky stuff like that, right? So you've got a lot of people in Portland that have left. And with the job market going the way it's gone, and the whole tech industry, you've got some massive change-ups, right? You've got some massive things going on that have rocked people's worlds. Vasquez, this is the guy who won, a centrist and former Republican. All right, I was going to run this live stream on former Republican wins district attorney in Portland, but it's kind of like, okay, yeah, he's a former Republican. It's just like anybody in Seattle. If you want to win, you got to run on a Democrat, platform. And right now, it feels like you have to be a moderate. You can't be one of those far left nut jobs because they're getting booted off left and right. Those days are over. temporarily. Remember, this is still Seattle, and Portland. So anything can change at any moment, and you would just have to go, okay, yeah, right, yep, that makes sense. So Vasquez, a centrist and former Republican, won by vowing to end public drug use, dealing in Portland, repair ties with police, and essentially return the district attorney's office to its actual purpose, which was prosecuting crimes. That is bold. Wow, for Oregon, that is some bold talk right there. You're really going to prosecute? He has been prosecuting this whole time, right? But he's got a boss who has basically stated, I think, some of the statistics I've seen is he's prosecuted like a third of the violent felonies, or, just these numbers where you just cringe and go, okay, so all of those people are just running around the streets of Portland, and then you decriminalize drugs, and then you allowed homelessness everywhere. It's no wonder that you've just got this ecosystem of out of control, anything goes type behavior. So this election is one small piece of the puzzle. I shouldn't say small. It's a moderate piece of the puzzle. Does it change everything for Portland? Absolutely not. Does it change much? It changes something. It changes something. It changes direction just a little bit. You're going to need to take all of those just a little bit pieces, patch them together. And that's what's going to get Portland moving in the right direction. But, to me, it's one of these situations where things have to get so bad for Democrats and liberals in Portland to recognize, okay, maybe this isn't working. That whole crazy train thing. You do the same thing over and over and over and over, expecting a different result. And I like Crazy Train, the song. Oh, that is it. That's just something else, right? Ozzy. This follows San Francisco's vote in 2022 to recall District Attorney Chesa Boudin, another of the hyper-progressive prosecutors swept into office around then. We had a whole bunch of prosecutors throughout the United States who jumped on that bandwagon. Hey, I can get elected. Look at me go. I can have George Soros back me, billionaire. If it can happen in the woke havens in Portland and Frisco, it can happen in the Big Apple. That's kind of what we're talking about. That's the direction we're going here. But where that differs is Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, and he's got one of the cases against Trump. Have you guys been following any of this stuff with Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen? I mean, that stuff is so convoluted. Michael Cohen's stealing money from Trump, and he's lying. I mean, shocker, right? And you just don't know whether people are coming or going. I mean, the whole thing is just a circus show to me that should have just never been there. I mean, we're doing what? These are the charges? Okay. All right. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, our own crime-friendly reformer, is up for re-election next year. He'll be harder to oust. Both the Portland District Attorney vote and the Frisco recall were nonpartisan elections. Bragg can only be replaced in either the Democrat Party or in a general election in a county that's overwhelmingly Democratic. Just like Portland. You got to remember, Portland is not it's not red. It is not a Republican hub. I don't know if you've ever been there, you understand. Tons of good things about Portland. I know people are going to dump on me for that, and I don't really care. I've spent a lot of time there. It's a cool city. It's got a lot of cool things going on, like Seattle. But it's got some really bad things going on as well, right? That people point to as the poster child of all that is wrong in America. And you know what? Those individual instances, I don't disagree. You've got some real issues. You've got some problems. But again, two impeccably liberal towns have realized prosecutors who won't prosecute deserve the boot. Where there's a will, there's a way. Manhattan can send Bragg packing. All right. Do they want to? Do they want to? One of the videos that kind of led me to pick the title I did, is New York City Next as far as district attorneys, is a video from Cash Jordan. And he has been going to the well of crime in New York City on the regular, and he is doing great. So if you don't know who Cash Jordan is, he's a young kid and he's putting up some really good content. A lot of it has been on kind of the demise of New York City. His latest video that I watched entirely is New York City is destroying Central Park on purpose. So it was the ... on purpose that kind of led me to watch this video. On top of the fact, I just like a young kid who is spitting. I don't know how old he is. Is he 30? Is he late 20s, maybe early 30s? I don't know. That's a kid to me, right? He's not 12. He's not 16. But anybody who is putting up content that makes sense, that addresses some of society's issues, a lot like Tyler Oliveira, Cash Jordan, he tends to do more stuff along what I report on as well. Hey, this is a situation that's going on. Here's kind of the backstory. Here's how things might move forward. This isn't what we want. But Central Park, New York Central Park right now is having basically a crime epidemic. But my point in bringing this up at this point in time is that, you know, where there's a will, there's a way. Yes. But New York City is so blue, right? They're so blue. And will they bring in somebody tough on crime? I mean, I don't think so. It doesn't seem like it. It doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like that's the direction we're heading. But that was also the concern with Portland as well. But Portland got so bad. Portland's just, you know, it's kind of its own microcosm. And got to remember, this was a Multnomah County, the whole county. But, you know, outside of Portland, is there much in Multnomah County? You know, and Portland's right there there's multiple counties kind of just sitting right there. So when you talk Multnomah County, people are like, where? And then you're like, Portland. Oh, yeah, Portland. Yeah, okay. So check out the New York City is destroying Central Park on purpose. That is a really good video. And he's got a bunch of others that are great that I've kind of talked about as well. All right. We got local news here, and we're just going to take a quick peek and see what they said there, because that was New York Post talking. After election results posted late Wednesday afternoon, Mike Schmidt conceded the race for Multnomah County District Attorney to challenger Nathan Vasquez. And I was really hoping this would happen because I think Vasquez is a much better option than Mike Schmidt. And I kind of felt like it would. But then again, it's like, this is Portland. Why would this go in the right direction? So here's the deal. So 54-46, that's basically what the results were. I think when Mike Schmidt actually won, he won in a landslide. Remember, it was all that rah, rah, rah. You know, George Floyd's dead. So let's celebrate and let's go down just lawlessness in general. Let's watch this video. This is an interesting video. Here's Mike Schmidt.
And I've heard a lot of frustration about long.
Sorry, I'll start you over there.
Well, I think, I talked to a lot of voters, and I've heard a lot of frustration about long 911 wait times, about police officers not showing up, about when they see a case dismissed for lack of a public defense attorney. And I think if you're a community member, you just see things not working. And so I think, that's probably
And you would be correct. He is stating the outright obvious here. It's kind of just mind blowing to me. It's like, okay, all right. So you are literally telling us why you got unelected, and it's because of the crazy stuff you did. Okay.
What we've seen so far in the early results, and we'll still see more to come out, but what we've seen so far in the early results is probably a manifestation of that frustration. Well, I think what we saw was a rollout of Measure 110 that didn't really hit the mark. I think when people voted, myself included, we wanted treatment to be there and available to people. That's why we wanted to do that. And obviously, at the same time, a pandemic hit our community and fentanyl came on our streets, and the treatment wasn't there. And so I think people lost patience with that type of approach. But, I'm hopeful that we stay with our focus on helping people who are addicted get treatment. I think that's the key, and that's how we're actually going to make progress on this fight. There's so many things that I look back and are proud of. Rebuilding the office, bringing up the staffing, I'm very proud of that. Helping rebuild the infrastructure, but also a lot of the disparity work with the Justice Integrity Unit. We've more than doubled the number of wrongful convictions found in Multnomah County. We've corrected those. We're helping people get their records expunged so they can get.
But you haven't gone after the bad guys like you used to. And that is why you're out of there. You focused on this other, small percentage of people committing crimes. Well, you've got a large portion of the population that commits crimes just running free willy-nilly doing their shenanigans. And that's why you got unelected.
Jobs, they can get into housing, they can go to their kids' basketball practice, and those are the folks that have earned those expungements so their records can be clear. So I'm very proud of a lot of the work that we've done in the DA's office.
Okay. All right. What do you even say? It's like, what? You're doing what? Mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing to me that, these folks actually believe that what they're doing, this whole justice reform, is somehow good for their individual communities. It's just, it's wild. All right, here's the Daily Mail. So the fact that a district attorney's office, and this is also one of the reasons I'm podcasting this, I'm live streaming this, because this is a district attorney. Nobody talks about district. Who? What? What even is that? Well, it's the guy responsible for basically prosecuting he's kind of the overlord of prosecution. And in Portland's case and in, San Francisco's case and in New York City's case, it's gone the wrong way. It's gone the wrong way. Most of the time you would not know. This would not be a news story. Portland District Attorney Mike Schmidt loses election to Nathan Vasquez after his Soros-backed soft on crime policies were blamed for ruining city. Got to remember, Portland folks, you guys voted him in. And you're like, oh, good Lord, this isn't working out. You got to get somebody else in here. This isn't good. This is not good. Right? I mean, and the rest of us sitting on from the outside, like, no, don't do that. That's not, defund the police. Don't do that. And we had to just sit back for 4 years and watch these cities just take it and watch the number of police decrease, watch the number of crimes increase, and then everybody argue over the statistics. Yeah. It's so crazy. So just the fact that the Daily Mail is running this. This is our new guy. This is Nathan Vasquez. I think, as long as he does what he says he's going to do, it's going to be better for Multnomah County, period. That's if he prosecutes, unlike Mike Schmidt, who came in on a campaign of, basically not prosecuting, justice reform. We were just rah for that for a split second. And then all of a sudden, that's not really going to work out. What always, what always interests me is how the Daily Mail, they can spin a very small article into just this really, really big piece. And then invariably they throw in the addicts just sitting down, doing a little fetty. And we've got, rows and rows and rows of tents. And, so many of the comments that I see are, it's going to take years and years and years to put Portland back on the right track. Agreed. Seattle, same thing. But in Seattle, we've had a city council that has gone moderate. We've got a Republican as a city prosecutor. What? We've got a city council woman who is president, Sarah Nelson, who is also a business owner. And she runs the Seattle City Council now like a PTA meeting, right? Just she kind of corrals everybody. And that's what you need. Is it going to fix Seattle? No. Is it a step in the right direction? Yes. Is Nathan Vasquez a step in the right direction? Well, from when we saw this kind of nonsense right here, absolutely. Remember that? Just Schmidt vowed not to prosecute rioters unless there was evidence of deliberate property damage, theft, or threat of force. And of 550 cases referred by police, just 47 went to trial. So no wonder Portland, had the 100 and whatever, 50, 170, 120, way over 100, whatever they were, nights of rage, of direct action. I mean, that was literally the glory days for Antifa, right? No wonder that was going on. So, the whole thing is just, it's nutty. And so there's been it was kind of a big uproar about, yes, Portland's homicide count exceeds Seattle and San Francisco combined. for the first 3 months of 2024. Seattle and San Fran are both bigger than Portland. And you put both of them together, they still have less than the murder count of Portland. Let's watch a quick little video here. I think we're 2 minutes something on this one, but this is kind of an interesting one.
So we dug into the numbers to see if that's really true. Turns out, yes, it really is true, based on police data from each city for the first 3 months of the year. Now, you might be saying that the debate was on May 2nd, meaning the homicides in the month of April are not counted, but the most recent data from all three of those city police departments is only through March 31st, so relax. And that data backs up Vasquez's claim. From July through March, Portland had 22 homicides. Seattle had 9. San Francisco had 8. That combines for 17. Now, if you follow crime trends in Portland, you know that homicide counts can fluctuate significantly from month to month. So only looking at these 3 months is not necessarily a good indicator of a full year's worth of violence. When we look at a full year, Portland has not had more homicides than those two cities combined since at least 2009. But if we do look at them individually, Portland has had the most homicides out of that group every year since 2020. San Francisco consistently had the highest annual number of homicides from 2009 through 2019, typically ranging from 40 to 60 a year. Portland and Seattle pretty much in lockstep during that time period, with both cities hovering around 20 homicides per year. All three, though, saw a jump in 2020. But Portland saw a huge spike after that, hitting a high of 97 homicides in 2022. Now, for what it's worth, the U.S. Census Bureau estimates Portland's population as the smallest of the three cities, with around 635,000. That compares to 749,000 for Seattle and 808,000 for San Francisco. So, yes, the claim from Nathan Vasquez is accurate. This district attorney's race, by the way, has become one of the more personal, heated races in this primary season. And I guess it's no surprise, Vasquez is trying to take out his own boss. The debate is worth watching, by the way, and you can find it now on our streaming app, KGW Plus, or on the KGW YouTube page. And if you haven't seen it,
the debate is over. The game has been won or lost. Politico had centrist challenger ousts progressive district attorney in Oregon. Again, the fact that Politico is bringing this up, people are noticing, going, yeah, okay. Yeah. All right. Mike Schmidt. Yeah. He was not tough on crime. Yeah, that was not good. Even Portland can recognize this. And when I say even, I'm throwing Seattle in there. I'm throwing San Francisco. San Francisco was able to recognize that Chesa Boudin, all right, this guy is not doing his job. This guy is terrible. But you literally elected him on the skill set that you are now booting him for. So, who's really to blame there? Well, when we elected him, we thought, what did you think would happen? Literally, what did you think would happen? Yeah, it's a great question, isn't it? And it's so easy to ask. Hindsight is always 20/20. But we've been talking about this. All right, so Portland just elected a district attorney backed by Soros, and this is going to work out well, right? Yeah, not so much. We've been calling that out because when you have a soft on crime approach, guess what? Crime's going to go through the roof. And it did. And not only San Francisco and Portland and Seattle, like the graph just shows, but all over. Because everybody, all the criminals were like, it's game on. It's go time. It's go time. We've got a contractual obligation. We got to go out and we got to do some criminal activity. We got to really get to it. Let's motivate the troops. Let's get out there. Let's really, really take it to the people. And that's what they did. And law enforcement didn't have enough law enforcement. You know the drill. Yeah, it's wild, right? Absolutely nutty. So that happened in Portland. Let's get down to this one. So we're just going to watch this. So this is wild. This has to go with the whole, okay, what did you think would happen when your squatting laws are so bad? And this is specifically Washington State. Same thing, same drill. It's like, all right, if you elect somebody who runs on a campaign of soft on crime, what did you think would happen? Well, now we're at a point here where the whole squatting thing has just become laughable. So we're on story number 3 within Tyler Oliveira's video here. Let's just watch this for just a few minutes here.
Hundreds of pages of case documents, Housing Justice Project was, in fact, involved and legally represented Steve in the early stages of this process. Now he has a new attorney.
So Steve is the guy, bald guy, big beard. He's the news guy you've probably seen. He is the squatter. He is also on King County fire marshal or something. Yeah, the whole story is just weird.
Fighting on his behalf. Well, I want to emphasize that this isn't just about you.
Good God, man. Stop eating those. You're going to blow up.
It's terrible.
No, I'm not. The numbers on the scale just...
You're an example.
I don't believe it's just about me, but for you to fly all the way out here and come here, especially
we flew out to the state of Washington.
Steve, here's what the fact of the matter
Jonathan
is.
Cho.
Mm-hmm.
You said you would send me documents.
I did not say I would send you documents. I said I would talk to the attorney, and you can get anything you want.
Jonathan, can you read the text?
Go for it.
I mean, I have the text right here. We now have more than a dozen other victims who say you've run a construction hustle.
That's bull.
This one.
That's bull.
So you can take this by this all goes away if you show documents that show you own this house and you're not squatting.
So you want me to show you documents that are part of ongoing litigation?
Yeah.
Bull.
Steve, can I ask, why would you be opposed to simply showing a lease agreement you have?
This is Tyler Oliveira.
Why wouldn't you actually support the law system that is in place here?
So did you pay for those 15 months? Simple question.
He did not. He failed on his end of the contract, which is what we
did you pay for those 15 months?
He failed to end on the end of the contract.
How did he fail?
He did not let me execute the contract as it said I could. It's been very clear in the court system.
Can you elaborate?
No.
Now, while Steve refuses to elaborate, the fact that he has refused to pay rent and remained in the home for nearly 2 years remains clear. But it seems like you're going to string this out for as long as possible.
I will continue to fight this in the court system as I've been doing, and I will continue to do so. There is not an eviction proceeding on this right now. There's no such thing.
Well, we have a 90-day eviction notice in here from Katrina.
I've not seen that.
Okay, let me show it to you. Have you ever seen this?
I'm going to skip through here to right here. Cops show up.
Yeah, so is he the owner of the property? Do you have proof of ownership here?
Who are you?
Independent journalist.
Then this is your house?
I'm the one, yes.
Can we see the lease agreement?
No, it's none of your business. Okay?
What do you mean?
Well, I'm telling you, if this is his property, you have no right to be here.
But our claim is that the owner of the property has said we have full permission to come here.
Who's that?
Katrina.
Our Katrina.
This is her lease. She gave us permission to be here.
So, where's she at?
She's been advised to stay away by his attorney because he's allegedly squatting. He's allegedly a squatter.
And you guys are here to
do a story about squatting.
Okay, so you're just not here to do a story. You're injecting yourself into this. Is that what I'm getting?
Do you guys have a previous relationship we should be aware of?
No.
Not at all.
It should be as simple as him providing valid ownership of the...
Him for his lease.
He doesn't have to provide it to you.
Why is that?
How about to you, sir?
No, it's a civil problem.
Wait, so anyone could come to any property and say, I own the property, and you kick the other person out? With that being said, I own the property. Can you disprove otherwise? And if you can't, can you prove he does?
Here's the thing is,
Yeah.
I don't care what property you own.
Sure.
Okay?
So could I come to your house and say I own your property?
No, but you're purposely injecting yourself in here to draw attention to yourselves.
What are you talking about?
Why are you here? You're here.
To get his side of the story.
Maybe he doesn't want to give his side of the story.
Which is why he called you to kick us out.
It's a civil problem. We're looking up the plot ownership right now to see who owns the register with the county.
So that's the due diligence you guys should do.
Here's what I wish. I wish I would have shaved better, got my hair done so I looked better for this thing here.
You look good though.
Okay.
So when you say it's all a civil problem, can you explain what that means?
If the woman says it's her property and he says he lives here and she says they're squatting, she would have to go to court and go through the entire legal process to have him.
Okay, but I live here now.
Well, you do?
Sure.
I live here now. I mean, hey, if it's already a ridiculous scenario, why not make it just a little bit more ridiculous? Hey, I live here now. You do? Sure. Because it's almost just as ridiculous, right? It's an outlandish statement, but it's also like, yeah, okay, all right, yeah, I see where you're headed with this. It's pretty funny.
Well, good for you.
So kick me out.
It's a civil problem.
Okay, so
why?
We're roommates?
That's done through the courts.
So, sir, you're saying...
So I've officially moved in as of today with that logic.
Well,
and I have a bedroom in the second room.
We can go through this all day long.
But let's simplify it. Let's just look up who has the title here. Okay, we can both agree that's crazy logic, though, right?
Steve, I could set up a tent here tonight, and you can call the King County Sheriffs, and they can't kick me off because it's a civil matter.
Well, tonight, no, we could.
What do you mean?
There's a time frame. You don't live here right now. You can't just move in instantly, have residence.
Dolphin dive through the window, set up a tent.
Still have to live here.
Or an invalid. I have a lease right here.
I'm not telling him he doesn't live here.
I do live here.
How long have you lived here?
10 months.
Well, then you live here.
So here's the deal.
Talk to me.
So this property is in conflict over a civil court about who owns the property, who doesn't, between this gentleman and lady.
And who else?
Katrina Freitag.
Freitag,
So
correct.
he right now by court he has legal right to be here.
Legal right to be here, as do I.
No, he is part right now until the court decides what's going on. He has the right to be here, and he owns the property until
He owns the property? That's what you just found?
It's in court.
Okay, but this is my property.
Oh, it's not your property.
Yes, it is.
You're not in the civil thing.
Disprove it.
Don't. I just proved it on the phone in the cat.
Who owns the property? We have
Katrina Freitag and this gentleman they own the property.
They both own it. So Steve aside, this has become a broader Washington dilemma here. Well, there's a civil thing between the three of us.
So Steve does not own the property. He has an interest in the property. He has leasehold rights. He does not have a fee simple interest, right?
Potentially now. Because I also live here.
Good. How do I know they're the owner? Right?
Sure, I mean, I have the title.
Well, you could have typed those at home.
Exactly.
So that's what you're saying.
That's my whole point. This is literally my point.
I know.
Do this to the camera. While the Housing Justice Project was initially created to prevent homelessness.
All right. So the Housing Justice Project, you guys can watch the rest of that video. I would encourage you to watch that entire video because there's the Bellevue segment on Sang Kim, who is he's the Korean dude who won't get out. Andrea Suarez has Caesar. He's a squatter over in Seattle. There was a hotel that was taken down. And then this little segment here with our kind of famous local newscaster has over 1 million subscribers to his social media who is squatting. When I first saw this story, I was like, this makes no sense. Did they all make this up? Did they all come together and make up this ridiculous story? Because it sure feels like that, right? That's what it seems like. Absolutely nutty stuff. But then again, we're coming off a 4-year period where people in Portland thought that defunding the police and going super soft on crime was a really good idea. Yeah. 4 years later. Yeah, we need to get somebody else new in here. How long is it going to take for the state of Washington to change up some of their laws so you don't have this absolute ridiculousness to the point where Tyler Oliveira, he has, it's right here. He has got, so you don't question me, he's got 6.28 million subscribers. And so he says, follow Jonathan Cho. And then what I wanted to point out is, hey, special thanks to Andrea Suarez of We Heart Seattle. She operates on donations. So if you find it in the kindness of your heart to donate to Andrea, because she was on a video because she hooked up Tyler and Jonathan Cho with Caesar, who is another famous squatter, but because he's kind of got his own side hustle going on. I mean, you got 3 major cases in Washington State, in King County. That kind of goes to this whole notion of, you know what, if we just get a bunch of laws in here that don't make any sense at all, what could possibly go wrong? You're watching it go wrong. You're watching it go wrong. You are watching in real time when Tyler Oliveira says, I live here. And the police officer is like, you do? And he goes, sure. It's just as arbitrary, right? Because all these people are just basically saying, I have rights. And then they tie it up in court. And literally Steve, the guy with the beard, the newscaster, the stringer, the squatter, the whatever, he used the Housing Justice Project. That is the NGO that has taken probably $100,000 of taxpayers' money and has kept Sang Kim, the squatter here in Bellevue in the community of Woodridge, it's kept him out of eviction. Literally $100,000, something like that, of taxpayer money going to a guy who combined income with his wife makes $400K a year. That's where your taxpayers' dollars is going in King County. So it's these storylines, and it's this kind of logic, and it's this kind of thinking, and it's this kind of pro-tenant versus any consideration whatsoever for the landlord that is pushing all of this crazy narrative to the point where you've got three big stories all right here. The two of those are one's Bellevue, one's Seattle, and the other home, I believe, is located in Ravensdale, and that is south of where I'm sitting by probably is it an hour drive? It's rural eastern King County. How about that? You go down by the county line, southern county line that King County versus Pierce County, where Tacoma is located. You get down to that southern border, pretty far east, and that's where you've got Ravensdale. So three pretty big stories where a YouTuber who's got 6.2 million, I know you don't care, but the magnitude of, hey, that's a pretty good story. And this video alone has gotten, 1.266 million views in 2 days. Because people are going, what in the world is going on there? And the title of this one is, I investigated the city where you can legally steal houses. Yeah, that's what's going on. That's literally what's going on. It's being tied up in court. And I ran some of the court cases, and Steve, the squatter, he's got a construction company. He's got all this convoluted stuff. And Tyler Olivieri goes into it with some of his victims, and they talk about what they've lost and how much money they've lost. And, what these squatters do is just tie it up in court, and the court systems completely protect the tenants, the squatters, the whomever not paying rent. And this guy has done this for 2 years. And same thing with Jimmy, landlord Jimmy, and Sang Kim, the tenant, who's just squatting away a couple of miles from where I'm sitting right now. So just some absolute crazy stuff. So while you've got these crazy storylines going on, you've also got some people in Portland, in Multnomah County, who finally recognized, oh, okay, yeah, this is bad. This is not good. We need to change this up. And it wasn't even a close race, right? So there is hope, is the message of this podcast. But hope is a long ways away, because you're going to have to go through some real shenanigans to get there. And court situations like what we're talking about here with the squatters and with the whole defund the police, and then, all of that, years. It's literally going to take years to get out from behind that and kind of get to a system, like it used to be, right? But nobody wants that because, reform is good. Reform is good. And all you can do is, well, why don't you go to downtown Seattle and take a look around? Maybe go south of the Kingdom, take a look around there, see how that looks. And why don't you walk around Portland, see how that goes? Hey, while you're at it, why don't you walk around, I don't know, how about the Tenderloin in San Francisco? Just see how that's going. How about you walk around Skid Row in LA? Just, take a peek, see it like 10 o'clock at night, and just, meander on through. See what that looks like. Got some real stuff that's gone absolutely haywire, right? Yeah. So check out that video. It's 37 minutes long. I shouldn't be promoting another YouTube channel, but it's good content, and I encourage you. I'm going to sign off with that. Thanks so much for being here. I will hang out with those on the live stream for a second here, see what you guys are up to. But thanks again for supporting, being here, and I'll catch up with you in the next one. Bye for now.